Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited because the Crista and Annie Show is back. It's been a while. We've been talking about Annie on the podcast, but it's been a while since she's been on. But today, I am really excited to dive into a topic that you hear me talk about a lot from an ops perspective. And so I thought it would be really fun to have her on to be talking about it also from a marketing perspective. And that's balancing front-end growth with back-end efficiency and really looking at marketing versus ops. Because I do think the reality is a lot of businesses make trade-off decisions between the two of them. And as an ops person, one of the things that can be incredibly frustrating is a lot of times ops people feel like the business owner is always choosing marketing and sales over them. But from a marketing perspective, you know, if you've ever hired somebody to do the marketing for you, if they don't have a strong ability to operationalize and systematize what they're doing, which a lot of marketing people don't have that, it actually creates a lot of chaos and a lot of mess in your business that you then need to clean up or can't sustain. And so do you focus on marketing? Do you focus on ops? When do you focus on each? And so that is what Annie and I are going to be diving into and chatting about on today's call. So Miss Annie, remind everyone of who you are and what you do.
Hey, y'all. I am Annie P. Ruggles. I have twin baby businesses, the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy and QuirkWorks Consulting. Over on the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy, we help people uncover their natural sales skills that they really don't think they have and polish them into processes, language, and protocols that feel good for everyone involved. And on the QuirkWorks side, we do a lot of marketing fixing to help you return to the essence of why you started the business in the first place. So that's me.
All right. And so let's start with that because I know, because I'm so familiar with the work that you do, obviously, is what are some of the challenges that you find that a lot of business owners run into when they either hire a marketing agency or hire someone into their team, whether it be freelance or employee to do their marketing? What are you kind of seeing as some trends right now?
I mean, one thing that is not a trend, one thing that I have seen routinely for the last 12 years on different sides of it is this idea of timing. Like, when is the right time to focus on ops? When is the right time to focus on marketing? When is the right time to introduce my marketing and ops teams to each other? When, like, it's always this, like, which lever do I pull and when? Like having a whole bunch of different vegetables with a whole bunch of different needs in the same garden. And you're like, wait, which one of you do I water on Tuesdays? Right? And it's that marketing feeling. And back when I was the director of marketing and sales for a software firm here in Chicago, I would see this from the other side. I would see so much go into ops because they're building software. Right? So back end is everything, baby. Like, make sure it works, make sure it hums, make sure it's scalable, QA the heck out of it, do everything you got to do. And so these founders would spend literally hundreds of thousands of dollars and months on products. And then they'd show up for whatever reason, they'd wind up like hiring us late in the game. And they'd be like, so Annie, we launched yesterday marketing. And I'm like, what? Like, it always drove me completely bonkeroony because I'm like, you've spent at a minimum Fastest MVP I saw delivered 3 months. Most of the time, we're talking 6, 9, 12, 18 months. And they'd come and be like, so when do we start marketing this thing? And I'm like, 2 years ago, bro. But I also see businesses now flip over on the SMB non-tech side, more on the service provider side of people being like, marketing, 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 clients, yay. When should I work on my onboarding? And it's like, y'all, oh boy. It's like, when should I have a CRM? And it's like, okay, slow down, right? So that's what I see, is that we're not understanding that this is a two-pronged relationship that needs to lean on each other. So we keep trying to build and perfect each in isolation. And it works. I'm not going to say it's never worked. I've seen it work, but it's so much extra work. Why do it?
Yeah, it's true. And it's one of the things I think I see so much in small business, right? In a larger business, they do invest very, very heavily in operations. They invest in things like efficiency. I mean, I have come in for 7-figure contracts to remove waste out of big businesses, right? They get that getting rid of waste, improving operational efficiency, reimagining their teams and the way that they actually work and bring products to market, and look at their project management systems and structure, they get the incredible impact that has on not just what they're bringing in from a revenue perspective, but on the profitability and profit margins of the business. And so big businesses routinely invest in this. And I don't see small businesses under the high multi-6-figure mark, I'd say, really give it enough focus sometimes. Usually it becomes more reactive because in the small business space, in the early days, it's growth, 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 growth. But what that ends up causing is that overwhelm, that unsustainability in the business, definitely zero simplicity. It is like a complexity beast behind the scenes that makes it very almost unmanageable. And what I think adds to that as well is in a small business, unlike a large business, you tend to not have full-time people on your team. So you've got a little bit of this freelancer over here, or you're working with this agency over here. So you've got all these different parts and pieces, different puzzle pieces, if you will, that never come together. So you don't have a cohesive solution. So you might have someone driving growth in the business, but you don't have anyone operationally who's able to kind of tick and tie everything together and make sure that your clients are taken care of. They have an incredible onboarding experience. Everything's working and humming, and your team isn't routinely having to like fly in and save the day in order to make it happen, that it can happen pretty smoothly, streamlined, and predictably because you've got that right system and the right operations in place to support it.
Heck yeah. Somebody's got to babysit the babysitters club sometimes, right? Like there needs to be a layer of communication other than the founder sometimes. And that can take a lot of different forms. That can be hiring another contractor to, and I am this person for a lot of people. I sit between the founder and the marketing subcontractor. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's having a team picnic. You do you, whatever it is, but it's gotta have more of that open door, because I think that there's also misconceptions about the other. And I think that there's also some very true things that in collaboration maybe wouldn't be so challenging to translate if we just didn't have to play telephone and could sit at the same table and talk these things out. Because we're not, as the founder, by siloing your departments, like you said, Crista, you're not giving anybody all the information at the same time. And so everybody is making a half of a recipe and trying to guess the other half. And it's like, well, hold on. What if we slowed down and instead of paying everybody overtime for fixes, we paid everybody up front for a meeting?
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And I think, right, going to the question of when marketing, when ops, when do you need each? The reality is it shouldn't be an or. It should always be an and. And there are different cycles and stages of your business where you're putting more of an emphasis on one than the other, but it should never be all in on one and then creating a need to have to go all in on the other because you neglected the other one so much that you spend 6 months of your life developing your systems and company playbook. And as a result, all of your leads dry up, or you get so sucked into client delivery that you aren't actually out there marketing and you aren't bringing in new leads. And all of a sudden your pipeline is dry and you're like, now what do I do? My client just gave me notice, right? And so you don't want to be on that end of it where you're so focused on the ops that you don't have marketing in place, but you can't consistently focus on marketing and expect to be able to have a sustainably successful business. You will kill yourself and your team in the process, if not inadvertently impact just the experience that your client's going to have.
Heck yes. Oh my goodness. Mic drop there.
So yes, both. Yes, both all the time. And let's go into some of the nuances of when you're going to put focus more on one or the other. So let's say you've got
a caveat. Both, but not noisy on either. You brought up that concept of noise. And I think if we had to look at this like oh my gosh, sorry, the musical theater major just comes flying out of my mouth sometimes. But if we were going to look at this in a West Side Story, Jets and Sharks way, like if we were really going to look at situations where there's straight up antagonism between marketing teams and ops teams, I think noise has a lot to do with that. And even where there's not friction, like out and out friction about it, I think a lot of the back and forth is because of noise. And I think it's because sometimes I think that's on the founder. So I want founders to hear me when I say, before we give any other tips, be careful what you consider to be a shiny object in either camp, because you may be rewarding noisy behavior in either camp. I have delivered really gorgeous minimalistic marketing that people have said has been too sparse, and I've literally put some glittery shit on top of it. And then they were like, great, I have taken a beautiful plan and made it chunky. Okay. Similarly, I have seen people take gorgeous ops plans, gorgeous ops systems, and overtool them. I've seen them take all the joy out of marketing by making everything too process oriented. Not everything has to be a freaking automated sequence. Like, calm down, right? So yes, we will talk about best practices on when and how to marry the two. But let's just be very mindful, especially you founders, that like if you're rewarding noisy campaigns on either side because it seems like they're doing more work, they might not be being mindful of the other side of the fence. Fair rant, Crista?
Always. That's what I love about the Crista and Annie Show. It is rant central up in here.
I'm like, hold on. We're not even going to go there yet until I'm a bitch about something.
Which I'm not even going to go there yet now, because now I have to build off of what you just said. And so then we'll circle back to where we originally started this thing. But anyway, that being said, right, so let's talk about the noise. Let's make this kind of real for people. There's a lot of things that I see, and I could talk about it from kind of an ops perspective through a marketing lens. And what I mean by that is, now I am a bit of a unicorn. I do both marketing and ops for my clients. I'm 50-50. I'm that weird right brain, left brain person. I understand most people in this world tend to fall more on one side of that camp.
She's a freaking freak. I've seen it up close, listeners. She's a freak. She said she's a bit of a unicorn. You should see the horn. What a freak.
It is true. I play both a CMO and COO role, which is why I created my own certification and my own business for people who want to blend the strategy with operations and do what I actually call chief strategy and operating officer, which is what I believe businesses need. But you will hear me talk a whole lot more about that in upcoming episodes. But that being said, right, so from an operational perspective, if I'm coming into the business, and a lot of times when I do get brought into a business, or when I'm supporting and working with other ops leaders to coach and mentor them on their roles, and I kind of see when they get brought into a business, what frequently happens is they get pulled in because of the noise that was created coming out of marketing. And so either there's bad marketing, somebody spent a whole ton of time, they invested a whole ton of money, and they got super disappointing results, which unfortunately happens all too often. Or best case scenario, they invested in someone and they're getting great results. Their business is having a really expansive period. They have rapid growth going on, and they're like, yes. And then all of a sudden they have their, oh, shit moment. And they're like, wait a minute. Now what do? I can't keep up with this. This is like, there's more coming in than we can handle. I don't know that I've got the right team in place. I definitely don't have the right systems and tools in place. I knew I should have done that thing called CRM before. And I didn't really talk to that many people. Didn't seem like that big a deal. All of a sudden I needed it yesterday. Like, how do I communicate with my team? Should I get Slack? Should we do Voxer? Do I need a project management tool? Like, all of a sudden, all of those things hit the founder. And so they end up bringing in an ops person to fix that. That's actually like the worst time to bring in an ops person, because you're putting them in the middle of pure chaos, and they will absolutely solve for it, fix it, and get you in the right place. But if we think about timing, please bring them in before you get there, proactively hoping that your marketing is going to work really well, so that you can put the operations in place to support it, so that you, again, are having a much better experience. But I want to hear your perspective, Annie, because you a lot of times get brought in from a marketing perspective. So what are you seeing from a kind of ops perspective that can be challenging coming in through that lens?
I think it's one thing that software did really right is a good dev team will break your software for you to make sure that it can handle it, because they know that your goal in software most of the time is to either get a ton of data or a ton of users. And so they're like, cool, let's stress test this puppy. And I love that. I freaking love that. I don't know what QAing and stress testing more small businesses that aren't tech really looks like, but I wish more of us took on more of a stress test mindset and thought about not necessarily boom scaling, but realistic growth, right? Like not overnight success, because that's a freaking myth. We're not all a TikTok star, whatever, it's fine. But what can my business and I, as its founder, withstand at this point? And what do my clients need? Because ideally, man, Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours. Ideally, at hour 10,000, the floodgates should open and a parade of ravenous leads should froth toward you. That's what's supposed to happen. And ideally, if your marketing is good, it'll only take that 10,000 or maybe even less. But the thing is, for so many of us, we've lost track of how many hours it is because we're so close to it and we're logging all those hours that we feel like we're nowhere near the 10,000 because everything feels like hour number 500, right? And so then suddenly we're like, boom, we find our product market fit, we're off to the races. Or you wind up in a situation like me, which I know I'm not the only marketer, where like I'm a marketing business who has not sent an email or posted on Instagram in over a month because my own marketing did so freaking well, but my systems did so crappy because I don't have them that I went dark accidentally because everything was going beautifully, right? I'm quiet because I'm busy. But however, what Crista was talking about is going to become very true, which is that when I deliver all this work, guess who I'm going to have in my pipeline? Nobody. Then what am I going to have to do? Emergency panic marketing. I wouldn't have to do noisy emergency panic marketing if I had followed the ops plan that I laid out for myself. Right. But again, I'm only one person. I have limited help. I get it. But founders, like, just let's be realistic about what you're creating and what you're doing. But yes, like, what is the essential of both? right? Because you can over ops the crap out of something and you can over market it even more. And then you get into this much mentality. And that's how you wind up with this like Sistine Chapel sized finger painting of nothing, because it's all great intentions and individual strategies flung together over time. And it just doesn't make sense. You look at it from the floor and you went, well, what? I spent all my time doing what? And then meanwhile, an ops person will come into that and go, your marketing person is an idiot. No, they've been throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but they haven't had any structure. And so what they've created is a beautiful mess by design. Okay. Right. Whereas I've also been on the side of things where like they've just had an ops cleanup and they're like, cool, we've just completely sterilized our brand, lost everything special about us. And now we need you to market on us within the confines of this budget and this timeline. We need to send out a post every Tuesday at 2:12 p.m. and our mailing list must grow by 1.14% per day. And I'm like, y'all are killing it. Like, what is this? We can't do this either, right? It's too sterile. So that's why, a second musical reference in one episode, Oklahoma, the farmer and the cowman must be friends. It's like we all have a common goal at the end of the day, which is to grow the business, which is to get more clients and delight the clients we have, right? And to keep them or to graduate them gloriously, whatever it may be. But having a great brand experience, having a delighted client at the end of the day, that's everybody's goal. And if your ops team is flying too close to the sun, cutting everything out, and your marketing team is flying too close to the sun, trying to dazzle everyone under it, then we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, it's really true. And I do think, you need the balance of both. You really, really need the balance of both. You need consistent growth in your business, but you also need things to run in a really simple, streamlined way. And most importantly, a really aligned way. Marketing a lot of times can actually sometimes take you away from alignment instead of towards alignment. Because if you're just focused on growth, money, more clients, more things, sometimes you end up with strategies and with things that do not align to you. I cannot tell you how many businesses I go into that are like, well, I got a social seller because that was what I was told that I needed. And I'm like, do you want to be doing social selling? No, I hate it. Like, then why are you doing it? Well, that's just what you do. But
I'm about to take y'all behind the curtain, okay? I'm about to break it down, real industry talk right now. An obscene portion of my job as a marketing fixer is just giving permission to people to stop doing the marketing initiatives that they hate. They come with exactly that. Like, I have to have a social seller. I have to have a webinar. I have to send an email every single day. I have to do a 5-day challenge. I have to raise this much money or it's not a test. I have to do a Kickstarter. I have to do a Patreon. I have to do 5 podcasts and my podcast has to grow by this much. And if I don't get this much, like, whoa, y'all. Whoa. If you hate it, you don't have to hire me. Here you go. Here's the freebie that all my clients pay for. If you hate it, you have permission to never do it again if you find one of the many other strategies that will fill that same bucket, or a different bucket is overflowing. Okay? Like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. If you hate it, don't do it.
It is true. And I think a lot of times people fall into marketing strategies that take them out of alignment in their business purely because, again, they're focused on results. I want to grow. This person is promising me growth. Look at all these great testimonials and these great things they've gotten for other people. So, I'll try it. And then you keep trying things and keep trying things and you kind of get away from it. And what I think a really, really great ops person does, and this more is my kind of ops person, maybe not your traditional ops ops person, but what I call your soul, your strategy and ops leader, the person who understands and blends the two of them, they are there in your business to ensure that your vision is brought to life. They are not just there for the small little efficiencies. They are there to orchestrate bringing your vision to life. And one of the first things that they help you do is make sure that the things that you are doing are actually A, going to take you towards the vision that you want, but B, are actually in alignment with the vision that you have. And a lot of times when I go into businesses, I cannot tell you, very similar to what Annie's talking about, people end up with the, well, I thought I had to, or I should, or they promised this and it just sounded so good. I said yes. But as I got into it, I realized I really hate it. I don't like selling that way. I hate being on this platform. I don't even like my brand anymore. And so you don't want any of that. And so that's where sometimes I think you need to be discerning in the marketing strategies and the marketing people that you choose to work with. You need to do the same with the ops people that you work with. But at the end of the day, it's all about finding something that's in alignment for you. And for most of us, what's probably not in alignment is working 100 hours a week, completely burning out, killing our teams and expecting them to do the same thing and not providing a good experience for our client, or pouring money into our business with absolutely no profit coming back, right? None of that is probably the vision or in alignment that any of us have for our business. But a lot of times the practices that people do are creating exactly those sorts of results because they are going all in on marketing or marketing strategies that aren't in alignment. And it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable and it's not even enjoyable. Or they're going all in on operations because they almost don't know what to do. So they're like, well, I guess I should grow my team. Maybe if I bring in the right people, it'll help grow the business. And I mean, maybe I should put systems in place. People keep saying if I just create SOPs, I can stop being involved in everything and I'll make like millions of dollars. So I'm just going to go create all these SOPs. And there's all these things that people hear. And so they make investment decisions or time investment decisions and things. And at the end of the day, it's not one or the other. It's never one thing. As much as we wish it was one thing, it's never one thing. It is the right balance of things coming together at the right time in the right way.
You're a restaurant, y'all. We got to serve the food to people, have food to serve the people, and have people to serve the food too, right? Like that's got to happen at the same time. The kitchen's got to make the thing and get it out to the person that wants it. And at the same time, there has to be another person coming in for that table next. That's how that restaurant runs. Everybody knows that. You are that restaurant too. We got to bring in the stuff we have. We got to nurture the people we have. We got to bring in the new people. Everybody's got to do that. How we take care of both of those things underneath is ops. How we delight both of the things on top is largely marketing. Not entirely, but largely marketing.
Absolutely. All right. So now let's circle back to where we started before the rant. It's BTR, before the rant. So this is when you focus on each, right? So as we said, obviously very intertwined. You're always focusing on both. But what are the periods where you do need to go heavier on one or heavier on the other? And so at the end of the day, it comes back to two things, I think. It's the goals that you have and where your focus should be in the near term, balanced with the current state of your reality. And so what I mean by that is, do you not have a team that you like? And so you're miserable every day and you're having to play superhero and swoop in and save the day all the time because nothing's getting done the way that you want to. And it's creating more stress and more everything than it's really worth for you. Are you in a place where your revenue isn't where it should be or where it was before and you can't pay yourself, or you're struggling to figure out how to pay your team? Or are you in a place where you realized everything that I just did was so far out of alignment, I need to completely reimagine my brand and my offers and pull myself back into alignment, right? Like, what is your current reality and what is the focus that you need to be having right now? As well as what are the goals that you are working to? And both of those will help influence where you need to be putting a little bit more focus. And I'll go into some specifics, but before I do, Annie, anything to add into that?
No, I just love that. and do your darndest to see or ask the right people what your blind spots are, right? Because one of the easiest things to see is, well, what haven't I focused on in a while? Right? If you don't know the last time you've had somebody look at any of your systems, but you've had a rotating door of 752 Instagram strategists, might be time to turn the page.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And so if you're in that period in your business where you're like, you know what, my revenue is not at all where I need it to be right now. My revenue is actually in a really rough place. And I know that's true for a lot of people this year. So probably a relevant example to give, although I hope you are not one of them if you're listening. But that being said, right. So if you need to be bringing in new revenue, yeah, you need to be focused on marketing. You need to be reaching out and trying to connect with potential leads. But that being said, again, it's not exclusively marketing, because what a lot of people miss is that, sure, new revenue might come in by bringing in new people, but there is profit in the business by fine-tuning your ops, by looking at where are you investing in people, in tools, in systems, in doing things manually that either don't need to be done at all or that could be automated and simplified. Where can you spend $20 a month for an AI tool that all of a sudden saves you 20 hours a week, right? And so again, you're not going to automate everything. There's things that are going to be really critical that you're going to protect and keep and that you want your team around. But technology changes a lot. Things happen a lot. How can you fine tune and change things so that you maybe don't need to bring in as much revenue because you're able to keep more profit? And so that's where I want to make sure it's not just one, like, well, I need revenue, so I am 100% forget ops, forget everything. I am just going all in on marketing. And when that happens, you're going to create a desperate need on the back end to then focus on your ops. But what mistakenly ends up happening in businesses that they're not intending is they do bring in revenue, but there's actually not really any, if much at all, profit associated with it, because the way they approached it ended up being very team heavy or very expense heavy. And so they've got the top line revenue, but they're not actually seeing any kind of increase on the back end in the profit.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I can say to that. It's just freaking, yeah. I mean, yes, to all of those things specifically, if you need to bring in money in a hurry, maybe don't build a spreadsheet about it, right? However, while we look at the marketing of things, the way that I've just in that wing of the hospital, okay, where we have magical marketing land, sales land, advertising land, PR land, like it's all, over in that wing of the hospital. But over there, if you need more cold leads, if you just need more traffic, then I'd say you need to be looking at marketing in terms of closer to the terms of advertising, right? Whereas if you need more hot leads, I double down on what most people call customer service, because your hottest leads are going to come from the people that are already paying you and the people that know them, right? So yes, if you need to bring in money right away, where do you expect that money to come from? What's the buy cycle? What's the lowest hanging fruit? Get after that. Normally that's marketing, and normally it's on the customer service side of things, because the advertising thing, unless you're e-commerce, tends to take more time to build up, right? But all of those things, in order to run efficiently, require systems. So I'd say find out when you are looking for money, find out your lowest hanging fruit, find out where you are the closest to the money right now, figure out one campaign to get after those people on multiple platforms or from multiple angles, depending on your systems. I don't know your life. And then build whatever you got to build to leanly and cleanly deliver that message to those people and deliver that product or service beautifully at the end of that transaction. I think that's the cleanest way to get money quickly, is one message, one product, one service, one funnel, one person, one system, one thing, if money is of the essence. However, if you're about to make big waves, big changes, pivots, rebrands, anything of that, before you hire a marketer, I think that's a glorious time to have somebody check your systems, because they're going to find, it's like a house inspector. They're going to find the cracks in your foundation. They're also going to tell you what's beautiful so you don't screw it up. There's like really rare crown molding in my house that I think is really ugly. But our inspector was like, that's really cool. You don't see that much anymore. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll leave it. Thanks for the peer pressure. Right. But if something in your business is valuable, yes, you have permission to hate it. Yes, you have permission to change it. However, you might not even notice its value. It might just be sitting there collecting dust when it's really kind of awesome and special. And ops can also help you uncover that. And to Krista's point from the beginning of the episode, ops can also help you uncover waste so that you're not rebranding noise. So many times when people come for a rebrand, they either want to rebrand one tiny piece when they really want to throw everything out and start over, or they don't know what to rebrand. So they want to rebrand everything they've ever touched when really a logo would have been sufficient, right? So talking to an ops person before you make big marketing jumps, before you do the rebrands, before you do the launches, I think can really save you money on the marketing end, because then you're not marketing the wrong stuff or marketing the wrong people or basing metrics on. Actually, when we cleaned it up, your email list is a really good converter, but we just didn't know because all of our analytics were misfiring. Would have been good to know before I said we're going to double down on 18 social media platforms because email's misfiring. No, it's not. Ops was misfiring. Would have been great to know that.
Yeah. It's true. And when I think about one of those other categories where I would say your focus would be a little bit heavier on ops, is if you yourself are just completely drowning in the business and you know that you need to get out of the day-to-day. You are at that point where for your health or for your kind of mental wellness, you need to get out of the day-to-day of the business, or at least you need to know that that is possible and coming. It can't be that overwhelming pressure of all the decisions, all the cat herding, all the things all the time on you with no way out in sight, where you feel like you can't take a break. You feel like you can't anything. And to me, that is that critical time when you really want to look at a right-hand person. And depending on the stage of business you're at is the type of right-hand person that you need. I talked about that in the last episode. So if you missed it, definitely go back and listen to that one. I went pretty deep into that. And I told you a little bit more about how you can find that right-hand person through my new Strategic Ops Institute, or certify them if you already have them on your team and just think that they could use a little bit of loving and a little bit of training and mentorship to be able to think more strategically on the ops side. But that being said, I would say that is when there's a big focus on your ops. Yes, you probably have a need to up-level your systems. You probably have a need to maybe do some real planning so that you're sure that the things that everybody's working on actually are going to take you toward your vision and your financial targets, right? Maybe you need to be up-leveling your team. All of those things are probably true, but the person who's going to help you make that happen while making it possible for you to get out of all of the decisions and all the things is going to be that really strong right-hand leader.
Heck yeah. And ideally, a magical unicorn who understands the demands of both marketing and ops.
I mean, it depends on where you're at in your business. But I will say right now, I'm going to give Annie a plug here for a moment. But if you really are, as you're listening to us, you're like, I feel like half of the things that I do from a marketing perspective are exactly the things that I really don't want to be doing. I don't even know why I paid these people to do these things, or I'm really annoyed and frustrated that I paid this team member or this agency or whatever. They didn't deliver on any of the results, or I hate the way that I'm getting there. That is seriously what Annie is a master at and solves for all day long. I get the behind the scenes horror stories of the things that she walks into. And it is, I want to say it would blow your mind, but I suspect you may have experienced some of those yourself. Because
to be fair, the clients tell her. I don't tell her. The clients wind up telling her what redonko bonkers town stuff I walk into. But
oh yeah, they do. It's because Annie and I share a lot of clients.
So many crises could be avoided. And so I'm thank you for the plug, but also, when you're talking about like, if you're doing way too much, if you're doing way too much, if you're doing way too much in the day to day of your business, I'm going to go out on a really hot bet here and just say the reason why Crista and I share clients so freaking much is if you're under opsing and overworking, and especially if you're unhappy with the marketers or your marketing strategy that you've been doing in the last several years, you're probably over marketing. Boo, you don't need to work that hard. The majority of people that come to me need to do a lot less marketing, not more. I do infinitely more whittling down than creation. I swear one of these days I'm going to write a new book called New Equals No, because no, everybody's doing too much. So just like Krista said, on the ops side, we got to be lean. We got to be strategic, right? We got to be lean and strategic on the ops side too. We got to be lean and strategic on the marketing side, because the best marketing is the marketing that gets done. And like I already told y'all, yes, I'm a phenomenal marketing strategist for other freaking people. Don't go Google me. My shit's not there. Okay? Like, it's not there. Why? I need some apps. I need my Krista time, right? But it's a balance and it's a dance, and nobody's beautifully perfect at all of it except maybe Krista. Right. And so it's okay if it waffles in you. It waffles in me too, but you're probably over marketing. And looking at my own plan, I think the reason why I didn't do any of it was deep down I knew I was over marketing too. So let's all do less.
We all do it, right? I mean, my whole thing in this world is to lean the F out, people. But that being said, half of the time I catch myself, and that's why I do things like Chuck every 30 days. It's why I have the systems that I employ in my own business as well, because my natural tendency is very much like most people's natural tendencies, which is you always think, oh, well, I'll just do more. I'll just do one more of this, or I'll do one more of that. And so I've put most of these systems in place, both for myself, but also for other people, because a lot of times, right, if you're really intentional and you're really strategic and you are in alignment, if you have those things in place, you do not need more. Typically, it's more like the scalpel, right? Like you're cutting away all the different pieces that you don't need, and you're left with this beautifully lean approach. Where it ends up being the opposite of that is when you are in a little bit of the spaghetti against the wall kind of thing. And you're like, well, let me try this and I'll try that, and let me do this and I'm going to do more of that. And maybe this will work. And that doesn't have as much intentionality behind it. That's more experimentation energy. And there's a time and place for that. But the more you can have that intentionality blended with strategy, completely in alignment, you are just going to be able to keep things so much more lean, so much simpler, and really just something that you actually enjoy. So you get to love the business that you built instead of resenting the business that you built.
All marketing is experimentation. All, underlined, all caps, all marketing is experimentation. And the only way you can do that effectively is if you have good, lean systems to monitor and run your stuff. And if you're running lean, smart, intentional marketing campaigns, if you change 900 variables at the same time, how can you tell if that experiment was legitimate or not? You can't. You have to be lean and you have to be intentional, because all marketing is experimentation. Period.
It's true. I mean, honestly, all of business is experimentation. Life is experimentation.
Wow! Krista just started a new religion. Oh, man.
That being said, Miss Annie, tell everyone where they can find you and what you're up to so they can connect with you and learn more about the magic you have going on.
So I'm very proud of my website. I built it myself. It was recently featured on CNN. Hair flip. But yes, you can always go there because I've kind of created like a fun park of wild adventures over there and clickable shiny things. So that's at anniepruggles.com. But as always, I don't want you to go to my website if you have a real problem to solve. I love talking to people. I love solving problems for free. I love solving problems in DMs. So get on LinkedIn and shoot me a DM if you'd like to talk. And specifically at point of launch of this, my sales program that I have procrastinated due to lack of systems for months should have been delivered. So if you or someone on your team would benefit from a copy of my sales program, Non-Sleazy Sales for Service Providers, I'm on a mission to give 1,000 copies away. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. Let me know if you'd like one, and I'll get you a coupon code for you or your team. But you got to DM me and you got to say you heard here, because I'm not just giving those 1,000 tickets away to anybody.
So in case that was not clear, she is going to give that to you for no cost. You just have to DM her on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Fantastic. I hope you loved this episode of the Crista and Annie Show and you enjoyed this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on marketing ops, your experiences. Please do reach out to Annie on LinkedIn, share some of them with her, or get a copy of her incredible sales program. And as always, you can find me at leanoutmethod.com/consult. If you'd like to connect about having me come in as your right-hand person, because I did just open up a couple spots for fall. It's been over a year since I've had those available, but I brought my right-hand woman back into the business. So I have now created some incredible space for myself. So looking forward to chatting with any of you who are looking for a right hand or want to talk a little bit about Strategic Ops Institute and how I can mentor, train, and certify the right-hand person you already have. So I will see you again next week, and Annie and I will see you in a future episode. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.